Assalamualaikum and a very good morning. My name is Nabihah Adibah binti Adnan. My student ID is 2024557011 and I'm from ED2473A. I am currently pursuing a Bachelor of Science Education Honors in Biology. Today, I will be presenting a case study for EDU 550 Educational Psychology. The title of my research is The Decline of Malaysian Students' Performance in PISA. The role of teachers in strengthening higher order thinking skills or HATS or in Malay, kemerosotan pencapaian murid Malaysia dalam PISA. Peranan guru dalam menguatkan kemahiran berfikir aras tinggi KBAT. Let us begin with the problem statement. Malaysia's performance in the Program for International Student Assessment or PISA declined significantly in 2022. PISA is a global assessment that evaluates 15 years old students' proficiency in reading, mathematics, and science literacy. The results show that Malaysian students are struggling, especially when it comes to application and reasoning-based questions, which are essential components of the PISA test. This brings us to the heart of the issue, the need for higher order thinking skill or HATS. HAT is not just about answering exam questions. It is about nurturing students who can think critically, solve real-world problems, and compete globally in the 21st century. Next, let's look at the research problem. Malaysia's declining PISA scores, especially in mathematics, reading, and science, raise a serious red flag. These subjects are not just about memorizing facts, they test critical thinking and problem-solving skills. Unfortunately, many of our students are underperforming in this area. This decline suggests a wider issue. Students may not be getting enough exposure to higher order thinking skills or HATS. Therefore, this study focuses on a critical questions. How can teachers help reverse this trend? We need to explore the strategies and role that teachers can play in strengthening HATS and in turning improving nation's performance in PISA. Now, let's move on to the research objectives of this study. There are two main goals I aim to achieve through this research. Firstly, to identify the contributing factors to the decline in Malaysian students' performance in PISA, specifically from the perspective of teachers. Teachers are the ones closest to the students, and their insights are crucial in understanding what's really happening in classroom. Secondly, this study seeks to explore the roles and effective strategies employed by teachers to enhance students' mastery of higher order thinking skills or HATS, known in Malay as kemahiran berfikir aras tinggi KBAT. By doing so, we hope to uncover how these strategies can help improve Malaysia's performance in PISA. To guide this research, I have developed two core research questions. The first question is, what are the factors that contribute to the decline of Malaysia's performance in PISA from the teacher's perspective? In Malay, apakah faktor yang menyumbang kepada kemerosotan pencapaian Malaysia dalam PISA dari segi perspektif guru? These questions aims to uncover the root causes as seen through the lens of educators. The second question is, what are the roles and effective strategies used by teachers to enhance students' mastery HATS in order to improve PISA performance? In Malay, apakah peranan dan strategi guru yang berkesan untuk meningkatkan penguasaan KBAT dalam kalangan murid bagi memperbaiki prestasi PISA? Here, the focus is on identifying solution, what teachers are doing or can do to make a real impact. Together with these questions form the foundation of this study. Let's now look at the justification for selecting this topic. Malaysia's performance in the Program for International Students Assessment PISA has shown a troubling decline. This issue is not just about test scores, it reflects a broader concern about how our education system equips students with higher order thinking skills or HOTS, which are central to the PISA framework. This study is timely as it seeks to understand how teachers perceive their role in reversing this negative trend. Teachers are the ones who implement learning strategies every day, and their insight is vital. Multiple Malaysian sources have pointed out that low PISA performance is linked to deeper problems such as weak curriculum implementation, ineffective teaching strategies, and socio-economic disparities. Therefore, this research contributes to the literature by highlighting teachers' perspectives not just as implementers but as key agents of educational change. The first source in my literature review is an article from majalah.science.com published in 2023. According to the National Report on PISA, Malaysia ranked among the lowest in Southeast Asia for mathematics literacy. We were behind countries like Singapore, Vietnam, and Thailand, which is a major concern. The article finds out that this poor performance is not simply about lack of knowledge, but due to weakness in critical thinking and conceptual understanding among students. In other words, Malaysian students may know the formulas, but they struggle to apply them in an unfamiliar or real situation. The methods used in this article was secondary analysis of PISA 2022 data, making it a reliable and evidence-based reference. The second source comes from the Bahagian Perkembangan Kurikulum BPK Kementerian Pendidikan Malaysia (KPM) published in 2020. The national curriculum has integrated HOTS across all subjects since 2011. However, findings from PISA and TIMSS revealed that the actual classroom implement of HOTS is inconsistent. This suggests that although HOTS is theoretical part of the curriculum, many teachers face challenges in applying it effectively during lessons. The report further highlights that teachers need more pedagogical training and exposure to global assessment standards to ensure they can effectively teach HOTS and prepare students for international assessment like PISA. The method used in this study was a government curriculum and performance review, making it an important source for understanding systemic challenges within the educational framework. Let's look at a case study from solidaritas.my in 2023. This article highlights Malaysia's challenges in the PISA assessments, which measures students' performance globally. This study describes Malaysia's low PISA scores as a sign of a learning poverty crisis. This means many students, especially those from lower income befitting families, struggle with basic skills and lack motivation to learn. The article points to three main issues, which is systemic inequities. Not all students have equal access to quality education. Second, insufficient teacher support. Teachers may not have the resources or training they need. Third, exam-focused culture. The education system prioritizes exams over deeper learning. The study's method involved investigative reporting and interviews with experts, giving a well-rounded view of the problem. This review helped us understand the gaps in Malaysia's education system and why reforms are urgently needed. Next, we examine a 2023 report from Sinar Harian focusing on Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim's response to Malaysia's PISA results. The Prime Minister made a critical point: low PISA scores are not a measure of student ability, but rather a reflection of past failures in education system. He stressed the urgent need for reforms in two key areas, which is teaching methods by updating how subjects are taught to foster deeper understanding. Second, school leadership by ensuring leaders can drive positive change in their schools. The report also highlights the importance of teachers' professionalism, meaning well-trained, motivated educators and pedagogical reform, or improving how learning happens in classrooms. This study's method was based on political and policy commentary, offering a high-level perspective on where Malaysia's education system needs to go. In short, the message is clear: systemic change, not student blame, is the solution. Now, let's turn to a 2023 article from Berita Harian, which delivers a strong wake-up call about Malaysia's PISA performance. The key message: denial and complacency won't solve the problem. Instead, educators and policymakers must tackle the real issues behind low scores, including ineffective hard teaching, higher order thinking skills are not being taught well, leaving students unprepared for complex problems. Next, lack of student engagement. Many students are disinterested or passive in their learning. The article pushed for data-driven solution by using evidence to guide decision and teacher-empowered interventions, meaning giving educators the tools and authority to make changes. This analysis combines media research and stakeholder insights, offering a practical roadmap for improvement. The takeaway: honest reflection and action, not excuses, are the way forward. Moving on to literature review synthesis section, all 5 sources agree that Malaysia's low PISA performance is not due to a lack of content knowledge, but rather due to limited student exposure to hot-based tasks, ineffective instructional strategies, socioeconomic gaps, and poor policy execution. Teachers are often under-trained in applying real-world and critical thinking approaches. This insight reinforces the importance of this study, which centers on teacher voices and solutions. Our review of existing research reveals 2 important gaps. First, most current studies focus either on policy analysis or quantitative data, leaving classroom teachers' perspective largely unheard. This missing voice is exactly why our qualitative approach matters to capture the ground-level realities educators face every day. The literature consistently highlights 3 systemic challenges: ineffective implementation of higher order thinking skills, reliance on outdated teaching methods, and urgent need for comprehensive reform. These findings all point to one undeniable truth: by developing students' critical thinking abilities through HUTs isn't just beneficial but absolutely necessary for Malaysia to compete on global platforms like PISA. What emerges is a clear picture: by meaningful educational improvement requires both listening to teachers' experiences and addressing these persisting classroom challenges head-on. Let's explore 3 psychological theories that help us understand what's happening in Malaysian classrooms. First, Bandura's self-efficacy theory tells us that students need to believe in their own abilities to succeed. When students feel capable, they engage more and perform better. But when they doubt themselves, even smart students can struggle. Next, Wiener's attribution theory explains how students interpret their successes and failures. If student thinks failing a test means they're just bad at math, they will give up. But if they see it as a chance to improve, they will try harder. Finally, Kunin's classroom management theory shows that good teaching is not just about delivering lessons. It's about keeping students focused and engaged. Teachers who manage their classroom smoothly create better learning environments. Together, these theories help us understand why some students struggle and how teachers can make a real difference. They show us that education isn't just about facts and tests, it's about confidence and mindset, the way we teach. To understand the real challenges in Malaysian classroom, we choose a qualitative approach using in-depth interviews with experienced educators. This method allows us to capture detailed insight that numbers alone cannot reveal. We carefully selected 2 key participants through purposive sampling to ensure we heard from voices with deep expertise. First, we interview a principal from SMK Bukit Gatil with 30 years of educational leadership experience. Second, we spoke with a senior mathematics teacher from College Tingkatan 6 Tun Fatimah who has 15 years of classroom experience. All interviews were conducted face-to-face to allow for natural conversation and follow-up questions. Each session was recorded for accuracy with files securely stored in Google Drive for analysis. Our interview questions were carefully designed around 2 main research questions, exploring critical themes like how higher order thinking skills KBAT are being implemented, what teaching strategies work best, how school administration support learning, whether the curriculum meets real needs, and how social emotion factors impact student performance. This approach gives us rich first-hand perspectives directly from educators shaping Malaysia's classroom every day. Our interviews reveal both shared concern and unique perspectives from these experienced educators. Both participants clearly identified 2 major factors behind Malaysia's PISA performance decline, which are the disruptive impact of the COVID-19 pandemic on learning continuity and the ongoing challenge of properly implementing higher order thinking skills in classrooms. They unanimously stressed that improving teacher training programs and strengthening partnerships with parents and community stakeholders are essential for progress. However, their different roles shape distinct viewpoints. The principal focus on systemic solution, how school administration and policy intervention need to create the right environment for change. Meanwhile, the mathematics teacher emphasized practical classroom strategies, particularly around maintaining student motivation and effectively integrating digital tools like AI platform and Canva into daily lesson. Together, this insight gives us both the big picture and ground-level understanding we need, showing that improvement requires acting at multiple levels, from ministry policies down individual lesson plans. Our research reveals 5 key challenges. The first one is students lack practice with critical thinking questions. Number 2 is financial stress harms B40 students' performance. 3. Overuse of technology reduces real learning motivation. 4. Teachers need better training opportunities. 5. Schools and parents must work together. These findings connect to important education theories. Students who blame outside factors, attribution theory, lose motivation. We need to focus on true understanding, not just grades, goal orientation theory. Research confirms better thinking skills improve scores, exactly what Malaysia needs to boost PISA results. Our research reveals both shared challenges and distinct perspectives on Malaysia's education landscape. Common ground. While HOTS is formally implemented in the curriculum, we found students still lack consistent critical thinking habit in practice. Both teachers and principals agreed that external pressures from exam to socio-economic factors significantly impact student motivation and learning outcomes. Diverging views. Classroom educators emphasize practical teaching strategies to develop these skills day to day, while school leaders focus on systemic constraint and the vital role of administrative support in enabling change. This contrast highlights a crucial insight. Sustainable improvement requires both classroom-level innovation and system-level leadership working in tandem. Our classroom observations reveal a troubling paradox in Malaysian education. While exam-focused teaching and rote memorization still dominate daily lessons, we simultaneously see pockets of innovation where teachers implement progressive strategies like I think mind maps, real-world problem-solving, and project-based learning. However, these promising practices face significant barriers. Teachers struggle with insufficient training and scarce HOTS materials and the constant pressure of time constraints. Crucially, we found that school leadership makes all the difference. Principals who provide professional autonomy and foster teacher learning communities create environment where these new teaching methods can take root and flourish. The evidence is clear. While higher order thinking skills HOTS are crucial for modern education, they are not being effectively prioritized in Malaysian classroom. Teachers are eager to adopt this method but lack the proper support through targeted training, practical strategies, and classroom resources. For real progress, school leaders and national policies must work together to align teaching practices with global standards like PISA. This means moving beyond exam to focus on developing students' critical thinking and problem-solving abilities, the skills that truly prepare them for the future. The decline in Malaysia's PISA performance reveals challenges at both the systemic and classroom levels. To reverse this trend, we must fundamentally strengthen how we teach higher order thinking skills by moving beyond passive learning to active, engaging methods that develop through understanding. This transformation requires collaboration at all levels, with teachers innovating in their classroom and school leaders creating supportive environment for change. When educators and administrators work together with this shared focus, we can build an education system that prepares students not just for exam, but for the complex challenges of our globalized world. Our study points to two crucial areas needing further investigation: how Malaysia's new 2027 curriculum will perform long-term, and whether specialized teacher training in HOTS can truly move the needle on PISA scores. To drive meaningful improvement, we propose a multi-level approach. The minister should make ongoing teacher development in HOTS and PISA strategies mandatory, not optional. Schools need to cultivate professional learning communities where educators can collaborate and innovate together. Parental engagement must evolve from passive support to active participation in their children's learning journey. In classroom, teachers should blend technology with real-world context to make lessons more relevant, while systematically exposing students to inquiry-based learning that develops genuine problem-solving skills. True progress will come when all these stakeholders align around developing critical thinkers rather than just exam takers.